open, close us. Please don't close us. Please don't close us. We love centres. We love centres. Children centres. Children centres. Please don't close us. Please don't close us. Please don't close us. Please don't close us. We love you. We love you.
I'm here because I feel very strongly that in particular, the Fawcett and Thomason Children's Centres have done such fantastic work in our locality, and I think it's really short-sighted of the council to cut their facilities now. We need a dedicated space for Children's Centre rather than squishing them into some other multi-purpose room. And I know that the team at Fawcett in particular have done fantastic work, and we have a high number of referrals because our population is growing massively in Trumpington. So we've got quite a large percentage of social housing. The team here are doing a lot of referrals to social services, and their work is invaluable.
I just think it's really important to actually go out and see other people and to socialise, really, because he's an only child as well, and I think socialisation at this time, especially this age, is really important for him.
Thank you very much. My name is Dan Grief. I'm a parent who uses the children's centres with my 2-year-old daughter Hannah. Welcome, Councillor Count, for coming back and joining us. I just want to reflect quickly on what I've seen today, and I think it's only fair that you know this. I've seen a complete contempt shown to the public by the benches on that side. Remember Now, my fellow Labour activists and our councillors and I have been contacted by parents all over the county, and we're listening to the anger that this Tory council and government has created. I personally have visited a number of children's centres, and I've listened to the parents' concerns about their closure. Now, many of their concerns include a loss of a place to meet other parents, a loss of a place to get help, when, for instance, suffering from something like postnatal depression, and the loss of a lifeline for many families, particularly in rural areas such as South Cambs. I'll now come on to my question. However, I want to give some context first. Now, this Tory-led council commissioned an independent review of councillors' pay. Councillor Count and his Tory colleagues rejected that report and decided to vote themselves a huge, greedy and unjustifiable pay rise. I'm sure that nurses, teachers, police and your own council staff wish they had the same luxury to vote themselves a pay rise. Nationally, the Tory government is squeezing councils until the pips squeak, yet our Tory councillors managed to find a way to fill the trough. In light of this, my question is, why are councillors accepting a pay rise when they are cutting children's centre funding?
In May of this year, Council decided to change its committee structure, and that change meant a review of allowances was necessary for the new structure. Full Council making recommendations at length, and this Council decided to adopt an allowance structure aligned to the UK average for county councillors. Whilst this was an overall rise in total, with some positions increased, others were reduced, and 15 removed entirely. The rise in the basic allowance was taken by all councillors of all political persuasions. The question mentions a pay rise, and councillors do not receive pay in the traditional sense of the word, but receive an allowance that should be designed to offset some of the time commitments, lost earnings and expenses necessary to fulfil the role of councillor. The new scheme estimated that approximately 30% of our time would still be given for free. Before adopting the new structure, Cambridgeshire County councillors had been accepting a basic allowance that was the lowest for county councillors in the whole country. Whilst replacing allowances, Council took into account the stresses on the budget necessitating savings that had been in place for some time and were likely to continue for the foreseeable future. This would include awareness of proposed savings over the 5-year plan. When debating any issue at full council, members are encouraged to look at the full picture and take differing views into account before making any decision. That decision-making process endeavours to take a balanced view on behalf of all of the residents of Cambridgeshire, and the minutes of the debate are available to inspect, and there's an electronic link will be on the website.
Okay, we have had a long debate on this, which is very worthwhile, I think. We are now going to move to the vote, which is on page 6 of your report papers.
Would members please press the blue button to indicate they are present? Members in favour of the motion, please press the green button marked plus. Members against the motion, please press the red button marked minus. Members wishing to abstain, please press the yellow button marked with a cross. Chairman, I'm now closing the vote. The result of the vote is 31 votes in favour, 22 against, and no abstentions. The motion is therefore carried.
Well, I've just come from the meeting, and totally frustratingly, the Conservative councillors have decided to vote for the proposal, for the idea of closing down these children's centres. I'm just really gutted. I think it's a wrong decision. I know it's a wrong decision. The argument was far, far better on our side, with the Lib Democrats, some independent voices and the Labour Party, and yet the Conservatives would still vote as a group. And some of the arguments they came up with, I just couldn't believe. Things like, they said that actually this way would actually help more people, that they're actually putting more about 7% increase in frontline service provision by closing down these children's centres. They made a really good argument, I think, as well, in the way that they said, well, the Friends are poorer and so they need provision, and I agree with that. But then, as Councillor Linda Jones said, well, in that case, can't we put more money into the system, not take it out from other places where there's also a need? They also seem to just not really understand what it's like being a parent, and I know this from my own experience. When you go to a children's centre, it's an experience for your child. They get to play with other children, to play with some toys, to get sort of mentally stimulated. And as a parent, it's a chance to go and meet other parents in a similar situation, to talk to them, to find out what life is like for them, to share some tips and techniques and have a laugh. And all that's being thrown away to save money. And then the Tories try and pretend they're actually taking that money away to try and make the service better, which is just wrong. So very dispiriting a meeting to go to. Really impressed by some of the independent Lib Dem and the Labour councillors today and the arguments they made. I think the only answer to this really is that we've got to get rid of some of those Tory councillors in the county. We've got to start taking their seats as other parties on the left, to really start progressing in the chamber, so we have more say, but also a stronger voice really against this Tory-led austerity.